was certainly the British political system when this was built. You know, that MPs were up there and the rest of you were like mice who could come into this vaulted cathedral and admire us from afar. It's a building not designed to be accessible, not designed to be transparent, but designed for MPs to parade around in top hats being important.
Now, there's nothing wrong with a sense of occasion, but the design of the Commons clearly influences the style of debate. Two sides facing off against each other leads to playground name-calling and football terrace jeering.
I have to admit, this is a pretty amazing place. It feels like a mixture between a theme park and a museum. And the whole time you're here, you have to remind yourself that this is the heart of a modern open democracy, because it just doesn't feel like it.
Unlike Britain, other countries have managed to respect their political history while welcoming the 21st century. And one building that's done this has more baggage than most: Berlin's Reichstag. Built in 1894 to celebrate a united Germany under Bismarck, it survived the worst that the Nazis and communists could throw at it. By the time the Berlin Wall came down, the Reichstag looked like a huge pile of political rubble.
But British architect Norman Foster has transformed it into an uber-modern home for the German government. He kept the battle-scarred shell of the building as a poignant reminder of the past. And he hollowed out the inside, replacing it with a kind of democratic club sandwich.
At the bottom is the debating chamber. Up above, the public can watch what goes on while eating and drinking coffee, which helps keep them awake through all the dreary speeches.
At the top of the building is this spectacular glass dome with its double helix walkway. The idea being that this puts the public back at the top of the democratic pile.
The design of the chamber is a key part of German politics. Unlike the Brits, they've gone for the modern Euro model based on the old Roman Forum.
Instead of going for the confrontational style benches we have in Westminster, they have a more classic circular design. This leads to a more consensus style politics, but it also makes it a bit dull.
So architects can influence government, but sadly letting the public in to see the action doesn't automatically make things more democratic. You can make the building as transparent as you like, but if the system isn't accessible, the building will never be more than a giant goldfish bowl.
Having rejuvenated the Reichstag, Norman Foster continued dabbling in politics, but this time a little closer to home, with the GLA building in London.
There's a bit of Reichstag déjà vu here: the glass dome, the spiralling public walkway.
It's a funny contradictory sort of building because from the outside it's a bit squat and dumpy, it's very uninviting, to the extent that it's been nicknamed the glass testicle.
But inside it's a political building with balls. You're welcome to wander round, and unlike Westminster, you don't have to join a guided tour. There's a cafe where the public can mix with the politicians. The debating chamber at the heart of the building has a 250-seater viewing gallery, but is there anything really worth watching? The London Assembly's critics say it has few real powers. Most of the clout has stayed locked up inside the fortress of Westminster. For now, the testicle is just another sign of a castrated political system.
Democracies aren't built from bricks and glass. Government buildings do have an effect on what goes on inside them. But if the system's broken, architecture just ain't going to fix it. So let's hope the new democracies of Scotland and Wales can live up to the open, forward-thinking parliaments that they're building.
One of the things that I find so frustrating about Los Angeles when I come here is that the city is so spread out. It takes you half an hour in a car to get from anywhere to anywhere. This city is desperately in need of a center, a cultural icon that proves that there's more to it than just Beverly Hills and the Hollywood sign. And me, of course. It's taken 15 years and over $274 million, but as you can see, they're just about to unveil LA's newest architectural star to bring the crowds back into downtown.
The Walt Disney Concert Hall is built by fellow Canadian Frank Gehry, who's best known as the architect of the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao.
One of the things that makes Gehry's design so sought after is that the buildings themselves become attractions. Since opening in 1997, his museum in Bilbao has attracted over 2 million visitors.
The hope is that the concert hall will have the same effect, regenerating downtown LA into the cultural center of the city.
One of the things that I love about Gehry as an architect is that he doesn't follow the rules. His buildings are as much sculpture as they are functional pieces of architecture. And as you can see behind me, you can't help but notice that every day as you're driving into work.
The steel skin of the concert hall curves and wraps its way around the outside like a series of sails. It takes our conventional idea of architecture and explodes it. There's also not a drain pipe or service duct in sight, and glass is used extremely sparingly. Nothing is supposed to detract your eye from the undulating folds of steel.
In the past, Gehry has been criticized for creating buildings that are more form than function. And while the concert hall certainly is beautiful, it is also one of the most technologically advanced buildings in the world.
Comprised of a 14,000-piece structural skeleton with over 9,000 steel panels on top of it. To get it all to fit together, every little design detail was fed into a revolutionary new computer program, which is normally only used to design fighter planes.
This is actually one of the oldest sections of Los Angeles and has traditionally been the financial district, but while the building has a very innovative design, obviously, it doesn't really feel out of place. It sort of lends a central focus to the downtown. So as you can tell, the building is still under construction, but when it's finished, it will be the permanent home of the Los Angeles Philharmonic. And the intention was to build the best concert hall in the world, both for them and visiting musicians to play in. But now we're getting to my favorite part. Let's go inside, shall we?
Gehry didn't really have any preconceived notions about the shape of the 2,273-seat auditorium he was about to build. He just wanted a room that would have its sculptured interior reflected on the exterior skin.
It's beautiful, man. All right, so here we are on the inside, and as we take a look around, you can see that it's just a fantastically beautiful space, a great performance space. But one of the things that is really striking about it is how much, from each different vantage point, the perspective of the auditorium changes. The actual shape seems to change depending on whether you're down here or we took a peek upstairs, and we'll show you that in a second. And here we are, on the inside. Don't I wish I played an instrument now instead of acting so I could play up there.
The central focus of the room has to be the organ, which is amazing and comprised of over 6,000 pipes, and was designed by both Gehry and a man named Manuel Rosales. My only surprise is that only the concert hall entrance and the restaurant will be completely open to the street. The rest of it is surrounded by impenetrable limestone walls, and Gehry had said that he wanted it to become the living room for the city, and I'm not quite sure that it'll be that.
I have wanted to see this building for years, ever since I saw a model for it in a Gehry exhibition, and I can tell you that it does not disappoint in any way. And while it may not transform the downtown area overnight, it is certainly going to attract visitors, proving once again that Gehry is one of the world's bravest architects. And in a city full of them, Los Angeles has a new star.
Next time on Dreamspaces, Fear and Loathing in Vegas casinos. Meet the Beatles of architecture. Why Valencia's the new Barcelona. And Smack the Pony, Hit the Bar with Dune McKeekan.